Victoria Bennett was one of the richest women in Lagos. She owned the biggest beauty company in West Africa.
But
her face was on magazines. Everyone knew her name. Business magazines called her the Queen of Beauty. Forbes listed her as one of Africa's most powerful women. But every night, her heart felt empty. She stood on the balcony of her penthouse, looking at the city lights below. She had everything money could buy: cars, houses, jewelry, respect.
Money could buy.
But none of it could fill the hole in her heart. She had a 7-year-old daughter named Emily. Every night, Emily asked the same question: "Mama, where is my papa?" And every night, Victoria's heart broke into 1,000 pieces. Emily's father had left when he heard a baby was coming. "I'm not ready," he said, and disappeared like smoke. He didn't want the responsibility. He didn't want to be tied down. After that painful betrayal, Victoria promised herself she would never need a man again. She would be strong. She would be independent. She would never let anyone hurt her like that again. But her daughter needed a father. Emily would watch other children with their fathers at school events, and Victoria could see the sadness in her eyes. And deep down, in the quiet moments of the night, Victoria's heart was lonely too. She had built walls around her heart, tall, strong walls made of success and independence. But walls that keep pain out also keep love out. His name was Michael. Most people called him the beggar near the roundabout. He sat under a big tree every day with a tattered cloth spread before him and a wooden bowl in front of him. But something was different about him. His eyes were peaceful, not desperate. He sat straight, with dignity, not hunched in shame. His clothes were torn and dirty, but he kept himself as clean as he could. When children passed by, he told them stories that made them smile and laugh. Sometimes he would draw pictures in the dust for them. "That man is crazy," the market women would say. "See how he talks to himself and smiles at nothing." But Michael wasn't crazy. He was just a man who had lost everything and, in losing it, had found something most people search for their whole lives: peace in the midst of pain. 3 years ago, he had been a university professor, Dr. Michael Thompson, specialist in African literature and philosophy. He had published 3 books. Students loved his classes. He had a wife he cherished named Sarah, twin boys named Joshua and Jacob who were his whole world, and a comfortable life filled with books, ideas, and laughter. Then came the fire. It happened on a cold December night. There had been a power outage, common in Lagos. Michael had lit candles throughout the house so his family could see. His wife had a terrible headache, so Michael went out to the all-night pharmacy to buy medicine. He was only gone 30 minutes. When he returned, his house was on fire. Flames were shooting through the roof. Neighbors were screaming. Fire trucks were on their way, but they would arrive too late. Michael ran toward the burning house, but neighbors held him back. "It's too late. You die too," they shouted. He fought them, screaming his family's names until his voice was gone. But they held him tight. His wife and twin boys died that night. Sarah was only 32. Joshua and Jacob were only 5 years old. The investigation said it was the candles. One must have fallen over. Michael blamed himself completely. He was the one who lit them. He was the one who left them burning. He was the one who went out. After the funerals, after the condolences that felt like knives in his heart, after the pitying looks from colleagues and friends, Michael couldn't continue. The house where his family died was destroyed. His job reminded him of the life he had lost. Everything reminded him of them. He gave away everything he owned: his books, his clothes, his savings. He gave it all to charity. Then he resigned from his job with a simple letter: "I can no longer continue." He walked away from his life and became homeless. Not because he had to, but because he felt he didn't deserve anything better. He felt he deserved to suffer. He chose the street as his punishment. But even in his pain, even in his poverty, Michael maintained his dignity. He never begged aggressively. He never bothered people. He just sat under his tree, talked to God, and waited for each day to end. It was a Friday evening, the week before Christmas. Victoria's car was stuck in the terrible Lagos traffic near the roundabout where Michael sat. The city was decorated with lights and Christmas trees. Everyone seemed happy except Victoria. Emily pressed her small face to the car window. She was wearing her school uniform, a private school that cost more than most people earned in a year. "Mama, look at that man under the tree. He looks so sad. It's almost Christmas and he has nothing. Can we give him something? Please." Victoria looked up from her phone where she had been checking emails. She was always working, always busy, always distracted. She glanced toward where Emily was pointing. She saw Michael sitting there. At first, he looked like any other beggar, ragged clothes, worn face, sitting by the roadside. But then she noticed something unusual. He wasn't calling out to passing cars. He wasn't holding up his bow desperately. He was just sitting quietly, watching the world go by with peaceful eyes. There was something about the way he sat, not hunched in defeat, but straight, with dignity. His face showed sadness, yes, but also a strange kind of peace. "Driver, stop the car," Victoria heard herself say. The driver looked surprised. "Madam, stop the car. Now." The car pulled to the side. Victoria's security guard started to get out, but she stopped him. "Stay here. I'll go." She stepped out of her Mercedes, her designer heels clicking on the hot asphalt. People turned to stare. Victoria Bennett didn't get out of her car at traffic jams. She didn't approach beggars on the street. But something about this man called to her. She walked carefully through the traffic to where Michael sat under the iroko tree. Up close, she noticed more details. His hands were clean despite everything. His nails were trimmed. His beard was neat. This was a man who still cared about his dignity, even when he had nothing else. "Sir," she said softly, surprising herself with the gentleness in her voice. She was never gentle in business. "My daughter wants to give you something." Michael looked up slowly. Their eyes met, and something passed between them, a recognition, not of faces, but of souls that had both known deep pain. His eyes were kind but held an ocean of sadness. "Your daughter has a kind heart," Michael said with a genuine smile. His voice was educated, refined. "That is worth more than anything she could give me." Emily jumped out of the car, her security guard following nervously. She was carrying their lunchbox. They had been coming from a Christmas party at her school. "We have extra food. Do you like jollof rice and chicken?" Emily asked with the innocent directness of children. Michael's smile grew bigger, reaching his sad eyes. "Little one, jollof rice is the language of love in this country. How can I say no to such kindness?" As Emily handed him the food with both hands, the respectful way Victoria had taught her, she asked, "Why do you sit here, sir? Don't you have a home to go to? Don't you have family?" "Emily." Victoria started to stop her, embarrassed by her daughter's blunt questions. But Michael raised his hand gently, stopping Victoria's correction. No. It's a fair question." He looked at Emily with tender eyes. "I had a home once, little one. A beautiful home with people I loved more than my own life. But I learned something important. Home is not a building made of bricks and cement. Home is not a place you can see or touch. Home is the people you love. When they're gone, you can live in a palace and still be homeless. You can sleep in a mansion and still feel like you have nowhere to belong." His words struck Victoria's heart like lightning. She felt tears suddenly stain her eyes. This homeless man had just spoken the truth she had been running from for 7 years. Emily looked at him with wide, understanding eyes. That's so sad. I'm sorry you lost your home. Thank you, little one. But you've given me something precious today, kindness and respect. That's a gift beyond price. Traffic started moving again. Victoria's driver honked a horn gently. She had to go. But as she walked back to her car, Michael's words echoed in her mind, home is the people you love. That night, Victoria couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned in her king-size bed in her luxury penthouse. She kept thinking about that man under the tree. About his peaceful eyes and sad smile. About his words that seemed to reach into her soul. Who was he? How did he end up on the streets? And why couldn't she stop thinking about him? The next Friday, Victoria found herself asking her driver to take the route past the roundabout. Traffic is terrible that way, madam, the driver said. I know. Take it anyway. Emily clapped her hands with joy when she realized where they were going. Are we going to see the kind man again? They were. And when they stopped, Michael's face lit up with genuine happiness to see them. Emily brought him more food and a bottle of water. They talked for a few minutes before traffic forced them to move on. The next Friday, they came again. And the Friday after that. It became their routine. Victoria told herself it was for Emily, to teach her daughter compassion and kindness. But deep down, she knew it was for herself too. There was something about Michael that drew her, his wisdom, his peace despite his circumstances, his gentle dignity. Each week, Emily would bring food. Each week, Michael would tell her beautiful stories, tales of clever animals outwitting hunters, brave warriors protecting their villages, wise elders solving impossible problems, and spirits who tested humans to see what was in their hearts. Victoria would stand aside, pretending to check her phone, but actually listening to every word. His stories were rich with wisdom and meaning. This was clearly an educated man. As weeks became months, Victoria learned more about him in small fragments. He quoted Shakespeare and Soyinka. He spoke English, Yoruba, Igbo, and a little French. He knew philosophy and poetry. He could discuss African history and world politics. This was no ordinary beggar. One evening, after Emily had fallen asleep in the car after a long day, Victoria came to Michael alone. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and purple. Who were you before? She asked quietly, sitting on the curb beside him, something that would have shocked anyone who knew her. Before this life. Michael was quiet for a long time, watching the sunset. Finally, he spoke. I was a fool who thought he could control everything. I was a man who had everything, a beautiful wife, 2 precious sons, a good job, a comfortable life. And I didn't truly appreciate it until it was all gone. Turned to ash. Literally. What happened? Michael took a deep breath. A fire. 3 years ago. My wife and twin sons died while I was out buying medicine. I lit candles during a power outage. One must have fallen. It's my fault they are dead. Victoria felt her heart break for him. I'm so sorry. And who were you before? Michael asked, turning the question back to her. Before what? Before you built these walls around your heart. Victoria was shocked. How do you? I can see it in your eyes, Michael said gently. You're like a fortress. Strong, impenetrable, safe. But also alone. Victoria felt tears threaten. No one had seen through her like this. Emily's father left when he found out I was pregnant. He said he wasn't ready for responsibility. After that, I promised myself I would never need anyone again. I would be strong enough alone. And are you? Michael asked. Strong enough alone. I thought I was, Victoria whispered. I built a business empire. I made millions. I gave my daughter everything money can buy. But But you can't buy what she really needs, Michael finished softly. A father. A family. A home that's made of love, not money. And you can't buy forgiveness for yourself, Victoria said, understanding him now. No, Michael agreed. I've tried to punish myself by giving up everything. But I'm learning that true forgiveness is harder than punishment. Forgiveness means accepting that I'm human. That I made a terrible mistake. That I can't change the past. And that maybe, just maybe, I deserve to live anyway. They sat in silence as darkness fell around them. Two broken people, sitting on a dirty curb, sharing their pain. We are both beggars, aren't we? Victoria said finally. Yes, Michael said. You're begging life to let you trust again. To let you love again. And I'm begging it to let me forgive myself. To let me believe I deserve to be happy again. We are not so different, you and I. Victoria stood up, brushing off her expensive dress. I should go. But, thank you. For listening. For understanding. Thank you for stopping your car that first day, Michael said. For seeing me as human, not just another beggar. That meant everything. As Victoria walked back to her car, her heart felt strange, lighter somehow, despite the heavy conversation. For the first time in years, she had been truly honest with someone. And it felt like opening a window in a room that had been closed too long. 3 months passed. Victoria's visits continued every Friday. Her mother noticed and disapproved strongly. People are talking, Victoria, her mother said one Sunday afternoon during lunch. My friends tell me you're spending time with a homeless man. Have you lost your mind? You're Victoria Bennett. What will people say? What will your business partners think? I don't care what people say, Mama, Victoria said calmly. You should care. Your reputation is everything in business. And what about Emily? What message are you sending your daughter? Victoria put down her fork and looked her mother directly in the eyes. I'm teaching her that people have value beyond their bank accounts. That kindness matters more than status. That a man's character is more important than his circumstances. Her mother's eyes widened. Victoria, you can't be thinking. Thinking what, Mama? You're falling for this man. This homeless beggar. Oh God, my daughter has gone mad. But Victoria wasn't mad. She was, perhaps for the first time in years, truly sane. She was seeing clearly. She had fallen in love, not with Michael's circumstances, but with his character. His wisdom. His gentleness with Emily. His profound understanding of pain and loss. His ability to maintain dignity and kindness despite having nothing. She had spent years with wealthy, successful men who saw her only as a trophy or a business opportunity. But Michael saw her as human. As a woman with fears and hopes and scars. And she saw him the same way. The next Friday, Victoria came alone. Emily was at a birthday party. Victoria wore a simple dress, expensive, but understated. Her hands shook slightly as she parked and walked to Michael's tree. No Emily today? Michael asked, looking surprised to see Victoria alone. She's at a party. I wanted to talk to you. Alone. Michael gestured to the space beside him. Victoria sat on the cloth he kept clean for visitors. Michael, she began, her heart pounding, I want to ask you something. Something crazy. Something that makes no sense by the world's standards. I'm listening. Victoria took a deep breath. This was the scariest thing she had done since deciding to keep Emily and raise her alone. Marry me. The words hung in the air between them. Michael stared at her, his mouth slightly open in shock. What? Marry me, Victoria repeated, her voice stronger now. Come live with me and Emily. Be her father. Be my husband. Let us be a family. Michael stood up abruptly, walking a few steps away. He ran his hands through his hair. When he turned back, there were tears in his eyes. Victoria, you can have any man you want. Rich men. Powerful men. Men who can match your status, your wealth, your success. Why would you want a broken homeless man? Because you're real, Victoria said, standing to face him. You're the first real man I've met in years. Every other man I've dated wanted my money or my connections or my status. They wanted to use me or control me or show me off. But you just see me. You see the scared woman behind the powerful businesswoman. You understand pain and loss and the courage it takes to keep living. You're kind to my daughter without expecting anything in return. You have wisdom that comes from truly suffering and surviving. I'm broken, Victoria, Michael said, his voice breaking. I wake up screaming sometimes. I cry without warning. I carry guilt that weighs like stones. I'm not the man I was. I don't know if I'll ever be whole again. Then be broken with me, Victoria said, stepping closer. I'm broken too, Michael. We can be broken together. We can help each other carry our stones. We can build something new from our broken pieces. Isn't that what life is? Finding someone whose broken pieces fit with yours. Michael looked at her, this extraordinary woman who was offering her heart to a man who had nothing. Something inside him that had been frozen since the fire began to thaw. He felt hope for the first time in 3 years. But with hope came fear. If I say yes, he said slowly, I have one condition. Only one, but it's not negotiable. Victoria's heart both soared and stopped. What condition? Michael looked into Victoria's eyes with absolute seriousness. You must let me tell Emily the truth. All of it. Who I was, what happened to my family, why I'm homeless, everything. No secrets. No lies. No pretending I'm something I'm not. If I'm going to be her father, and Victoria, I would be honored beyond measure to be her father, then I must start with complete honesty. Victoria felt her blood run cold. You want to tell my 7-year-old daughter that your family died in a fire? That you blame yourself? That you chose to become homeless out of guilt? Michael, that's too heavy. That will traumatize her. She's just a child. Exactly, Michael said firmly. She's a child. And children deserve truth. Not all of it at once, not in ways that harm them, but truth nonetheless. Children are stronger and wiser than we give them credit for. They can handle honesty far better than they can handle deception. He stepped closer, his voice passionate. Victoria, I have lost everything because I wasn't careful enough, wasn't present enough, took my blessings for granted. I will not make that mistake again. I will not build a new family on a foundation of lies and secrets. What kind of father would I be if I taught Emily that love means hiding the truth? What kind of marriage would we have if it started with deception? But telling her about your trauma is showing her that people can survive terrible things and still love, still hope, still rebuild, Michael interrupted. It's teaching her that adults aren't perfect. That fathers have histories and pain and reasons for their scars. It's demonstrating that real love includes vulnerability and honesty. Victoria felt panic rising. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She was Victoria Bennett. She made proposals, and people accepted them on her terms. She controlled the narrative, set the boundaries, made the rules. But that was exactly why her life had been so empty. Control had kept her safe but alone. Power had protected her but imprisoned her. Success had given her everything except what mattered most. You're asking me to trust, she whispered. Yes, Michael said. I'm asking you to trust your daughter to be strong and understanding. I'm asking you to trust me to tell her in a way that's age-appropriate and gentle. I'm asking you to trust that love and truth together are stronger than love built on comfortable lies. And most importantly, I'm asking you to trust that building something real is worth the risk. Victoria looked at this man who had nothing but refused to compromise on what mattered. This man who valued integrity more than comfort. This man who loved her daughter enough to insist on honesty even if it cost him everything. And she made her choice. Okay, she said, her voice shaking. Okay. We tell her the truth. Together. But Michael, if this hurts her. If it hurts her, we'll be there together to help her heal, Michael said gently. That's what family does. They face hard things together. Victoria nodded, tears streaming down her face. When? Tomorrow. Let's not wait. Let's start this right. The next day was Saturday. Victoria's garden was beautiful, flowers blooming, birds singing, a fountain bubbling peacefully. Emily sat on a bench between Victoria and Michael, holding both their hands. She seemed to sense something important was happening. Baby, Victoria began, her voice trembling, Uncle Michael has something very important to tell you. Something true and real. It might make you sad, but it's important. Can you listen with your whole heart? Emily nodded seriously, her big eyes moving between her mother and Michael. Michael took a deep breath. Emily, I'm going to tell you a true story. Not a fairy tale. A real story about a man who had a family he loved more than anything in the whole world. And he told her everything. He told her about Sarah, his beautiful wife who loved to sing. About Joshua and Jacob, his twin sons who were exactly her age when they died. About the fire that took them away. About the candle he had left burning. About the guilt that made him feel like he didn't deserve to live anymore. About why he gave everything away and lived on the streets. I felt like I deserved to be punished, Michael said, tears running down his face. I felt like a father who couldn't protect his children didn't deserve comfort or happiness. So I've been living under that tree, talking to God, trying to understand why I'm still here when they're gone. Emily listened to everything, her eyes getting wider and wetter. When Michael finished, tears were streaming down her small face. Victoria moved to comfort her, but Michael gently shook his head, giving Emily space to process. Emily, Michael said softly, I understand completely if you don't want me around anymore. I understand if my sadness is too heavy to carry. I understand if you're afraid I might bring bad luck or tragedy. I would never blame you for wanting me to stay away. No. Emily shouted, surprising both adults. She threw her arms around Michael's neck and held on tight. No, Uncle Michael. You're not bad luck. You're not bad at all. She pulled back and looked at him with fierce, tear-stained conviction. You're sad because you love them so much. Mama always tells me that love is the most important thing in the whole world. Your love didn't die in the fire, Uncle Michael. It's still here. She pressed her small hand firmly against his chest. I can feel it. Your heart is still full of love. That's why it hurts so much. Michael broke down completely, sobbing like he hadn't allowed himself to sob since the funerals. This little girl had just shown him something profound, that his pain was proof of his love, not proof of his failure. But Uncle Michael, Emily continued, her voice wise beyond her years, if you don't love again because you're scared of being hurt, isn't that like being dead anyway? Isn't that like letting the fire win? Both adults were stunned into silence. Out of the mouths of children, as the saying goes. Victoria found herself crying too, for Michael's loss, for her own years of fear, for the beautiful, terrifying courage it takes to love in a world where love can hurt so deeply. I'm afraid, Emily, Michael whispered. I'm so afraid to love again. What if something happens to you? What if I lose you and your mother too? I don't think I could survive it again. Emily took his face in her small hands, forcing him to look at her. But Uncle Michael, we're all afraid of losing people we love. Mama's afraid too. I'm afraid sometimes. But we love each other anyway, because love is worth it. Even when it's scary. Even when it hurts. Love is always worth it. She turned to her mother. Right, Mama. That's what you always tell me. Love is worth the risk. Victoria nodded, unable to speak through her tears. When had her baby become so wise? Mama, Emily said, can Uncle Michael come live with us? Please. Then he won't be lonely anymore. And he won't be sad all alone. And I'll finally have a papa who understands that love is the most important thing. Victoria looked at Michael. Well. You heard your daughter. What do you say? Michael smiled through his tears, a real smile, full and genuine. I say yes. 1,000 times yes. 10,000 times yes. I say let's be a family. A real family built on truth and trust and love that's brave enough to risk everything. Emily squealed with joy and hugged them both. And in that moment, in that garden, 3 broken people became a family. The wedding was small and simple, held in Victoria's garden 3 months later. Michael insisted on inviting people from the streets, the other homeless people he had lived among, the market women who had called him crazy, the children he had told stories to. Victoria's high society friends were shocked to find themselves mixing with beggars and street vendors. But it was perfect. Michael wore a simple suit that Victoria bought him. He had gotten cleaned up, cut his hair, trimmed his beard. But his eyes, those were the same peaceful, wise eyes that had first caught Victoria's attention. You could be on magazine covers yourself, Victoria teased as they stood together before the pastor. I'd rather just be on your heart, Michael replied, making her cry happy tears. The newspapers had a field day. Billionaire marries beggar, the headline screamed. From streets to penthouse, the fairy tale no one expected. Social media exploded with opinions. Some people applauded Victoria's courage and compassion. Others called her foolish and predicted the marriage would fail within a year. Many speculated that Michael was a con artist who had tricked a lonely woman. But Victoria and Michael didn't care. They knew the truth of their love. They knew the foundation they had built together, honesty, respect, understanding, and shared pain that had become shared healing. Michael didn't immediately move into luxury. He struggled with it, actually. The penthouse felt wrong at first. Too much. Too comfortable. He had nightmares and panic attacks. Sometimes Victoria would find him sitting by the window at 3 a.m., tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry, he would say. I'm damaged goods. You deserve better. Stop apologizing for being human, Victoria would reply, holding him. We are healing together, remember. Your pace, my pace, our pace. There's no rush. Slowly, with Victoria's patient love and Emily's boundless joy, Michael began to heal. The nightmares became less frequent. The guilt began to soften. He started to believe, truly believe, that he deserved happiness again. He returned to teaching, but not at a university. Instead, he started a program to tutor children from poor families, kids from the streets, kids who reminded him of himself during those 3 years of homelessness. Victoria funded it completely, transforming an old building near the roundabout where they first met into a learning center. Education is the bridge between who you are and who you can become, Michael would tell his students. I lost everything and found myself on the streets. But knowledge and dignity, those are things no fire can burn, no poverty can take away. Victoria discovered that having Michael in her life made her better at everything. Better at business because he reminded her why she started, to help people feel beautiful and confident, not just to make profits. Better at being a mother because he showed her how to be present, not just provide. Better at being human because he taught her that vulnerability is strength, not weakness. And Emily. She absolutely blossomed. She had a father who told her stories every night. A father who helped with homework and explained things with patience. A father who taught her that strength means getting up every time you fall, that love means being honest even when it's hard, and that family is built on trust and truth. One afternoon, Emily came home from school upset. Another girl had made fun of her. "Your daddy used to be a beggar. My mama says your mama is crazy for marrying him." Emily had cried. Michael sat with her, letting her feel her feelings. "What that girl said is true," he told her gently. "I was a beggar. I lived on the streets. Some people think your mama is crazy for marrying me. Those are facts. But it's mean to say." Emily protested. "Yes, it is mean. But Emily, here's what I want you to understand. People who are secure in themselves don't need to hurt others to feel big. That girl probably has her own pain, her own insecurities. Hurt people hurt people. So what do I do? You remember who you are. You're Emily Bennett Thompson. You come from love. You come from courage. You come from a family that chose truth over comfort, love over fear. That makes you special. That makes you strong. Don't let someone else's meanness make you forget your value." Emily hugged him tight. "I'm glad you're my papa. I don't care what anyone says. And I'm honored to be your papa. I thank God every day for the little girl who saw a sad man under a tree and decided he deserved kindness." 1 year after their wedding, Victoria, Michael, and Emily stood together at the roundabout where it all began. The Iroko tree was still there, still providing shade. But now, next to it stood a beautiful new building, the Michael Thompson Learning Center and Community Shelter. It provided free education for street children during the day. At night, it offered shelter, food, and dignity to homeless people. There were showers, clean clothes, medical care, job training, and most importantly, respect. Every person who walks through those doors is treated like they matter, Michael had insisted during planning. Because they do matter. I was treated like garbage for 3 years. I know what that feels like. No one here will ever be treated that way. At the opening ceremony, Michael gave a speech. Emily held his hand on one side, Victoria on the other. 3 years ago, I sat under that tree, broken and alone, Michael began. I had given up on life. I was just existing, waiting for time to pass. Then one Friday evening, a little girl stopped her mother's car and offered me jollof rice and kindness. He smiled at Emily, who beamed with pride. That small act of compassion started a chain reaction that saved my life. It reminded me that I was still human, still worthy of kindness, still capable of connection. This center exists because of that one moment. Because one child chose to see a person instead of a problem. He turned to Victoria. And this extraordinary woman chose to see past my circumstances to my character. She took a risk that made no logical sense. She offered love when common sense said to walk away. She trusted me with the most precious thing in her life, her daughter. And together, we've built something beautiful from our broken pieces. Victoria's eyes filled with tears as Michael continued. This center is for everyone who sits under a tree, feeling forgotten. Everyone who has lost everything and wonders if they'll ever matter again. Everyone who needs to be reminded that they are human, they are valuable, they are capable of rebuilding. You are not your circumstances. You are not your worst moment. You are not your biggest mistake. You are worthy of dignity, respect, and love. The crowd, a mix of wealthy donors and street people, applauded. But Michael wasn't finished. I want to say something to everyone here who has lost someone they love, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Your love doesn't die when they die. It transforms. It becomes part of who you are. It teaches you how to love more deeply, more authentically, more bravely. My wife Sarah and my sons Joshua and Jacob are gone, but the love I have for them lives on. It's in every child I teach. It's in every homeless person I sit with. It's in the love I have for Victoria and Emily. They would be so happy to know that our tragedy became something that helps others. That our story didn't end with fire and death, but continues with hope and new life. He looked up at the sky. Sarah, Joshua, Jacob, I hope I'm making you proud. I hope you can see that I finally learned what you were trying to teach me all along. That love is stronger than death. That life is precious and fragile and should never be taken for granted. That home is wherever people love each other authentically. There wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. After the ceremony, Victoria and Michael stood by the tree, watching Emily play with other children from the neighborhood. Rich kids and poor kids, playing together without seeing differences. Do you miss your old life? Victoria asked Michael. Your job at the university. Your old home. The life before the fire. Michael pulled her close. I miss them every single day. My wife, my boys, they'll always be part of me. Some days the grief still hits like a wave. Some nights I still cry. But Victoria, I've learned something profound. The heart doesn't have limited space. Loving you and Emily doesn't diminish my love for them. It multiplies it. It honors their memory by choosing to live fully, to love deeply, to be present in every moment. And do you regret saying yes to a crazy billionaire who proposed to a beggar? Victoria asked with a smile. Michael laughed, that clear, beautiful sound that Victoria never got tired of hearing. My only condition was honesty. And that honesty gave us this, a real family, built on truth and trust and love, brave enough to risk everything. No, my love, I regret nothing. You saved my life. You and Emily gave me a reason to live again. You taught me that second chances are real. That redemption is possible. That love can heal even the deepest wounds. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below if you enjoyed the story. Give us a thumbs up, share with friends and family, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up. Don't forget to turn on your notifications button so you don't miss out on our latest update. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.